Hello everyone, this is Jeremy Peabody. I'm going to show you the process that I took with a recent image that I did. It's entitled Evail Landscape. It's my first Evail Landscape. If anyone saw my YouTube video last week, you'll notice that I'm actually not starting with a image um, underneath this one. I'm starting, from scratch. It's a blank canvas. I have a couple of brushes that um, do a really good job in randomizing, and I never really used this until recently. It's the tool presets. I really like them. I'm sure I'm not using the most of um, the benefit that I can from them. I think you can, you know, like save different sets. So I imagine like I might be able to create a whole set of tools and be just for landscapes. Thinking maybe I could do another set of tools for, like interior work or, gosh, even like stones or, if I'm doing buildings or something like that. So I think the tool presets is kind of like a hidden feature I never really found before and just started using myself. So anyway, let's get back to what's going on here in the image. So I haven't sped this up at all. Um, I just randomly dotted the values across the screen. It looks like even though I'm just primarily doing black and white, it looks like it's actually picking up some color as well. This can happen sometimes when I'm rendering. Usually just a Control Shift U will put it back to black and white. But for it doesn't really matter. You can just keep painting with the values that are there. Um, I just try to focus on the values. It just makes doing the composition a little bit easier. And so this is the process that I'm taking with this image. It's not always the same process that I take, as I explained earlier. Sometimes I start with the image underneath this and just make that a black and white image and just pull the values from it. This one, I guess it took probably about an hour to do. I'll walk through the first half hour with you. I'm not speeding it up, so everything that you see here is completely unabridged. Um, so let me tell you a little bit about this process. So right now I'm just getting a basic value base going with this image. Just really kind of working the values here, paying attention to form, function, and once I have the base of the image done, I'm going to take a stock image from DeviantArt and apply it to this image. It usually can be done in many different ways. I try to just kind of play around with the settings until I find one that works. Usually involves a multiply mode on either the texture or on the stock image or on this image itself. So once I get that done, uh, I go ahead and extract the values and just kind of push the colors around and work it into the landscape. Um, and so right now I'm just kind of, really kind of getting a form or feel for what's going on here in the landscape. I'm imagining some sort of a lava valley, some sort of a river of lava going through the scene here. So I know lava is hot, so I'm going to make those values really light in color, but I really don't have to pay too much attention to it right now because I'm just trying to get the overall composition going. So um, what you see me doing right here is just kind of working those values in what I know to be true about things that are hot. So let me think. What else can I say about the lava landscape? I do know that when lava cools, it's got a very smooth surface. Um, it also can be very kind of jaggedy, um, depending on where things are. Of course, it wouldn't be an Evail Landscape if it didn't have little protrusions of spikes sticking out. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going through and adding all those little spikes. Now, I know lava, when it cools, it's got a very smooth surface. So I haven't really done the lighting yet, but when I do, I'll actually pay attention to that and make the tops of the surfaces shiny. Um, and so it makes it highly reflective, and it really just kind of works very well with this piece, getting that going. So right now I'm working on the lava river. Decided it's going to be a river, and I know it's hot, so I put in white, and I'm working it through. I really probably shouldn't be full white, but for the purpose of the work, doing the composition before I apply the base colors, this is just fine. I'm not trying to be too specific here, really. I'm just trying to get the overall shapes going. I'm trying to think about when I'm doing this, like how a cliff might look, how what would be some cool things. I was like thinking maybe there's a bridge that could go here or something, and the river flowing underneath it, and I decided, well, just probably um, just kind of work it in, and make it one big solid landmass. I didn't want to do anything, that complicated with this, really. So there's really not much more I can say at this point right now about the image. It's just me going through and rendering, and you know paying attention to what's going on, just trying to keep the perspective and everything the best that I can. I'm not really great on perspective, but that's why I keep painting, right? So I'm just going to stop narrating for a while, let this continue on for another minute or so, and then I'll be getting the textures. So, I'll chime back in when that happens, and we can talk about that. So that was really quick. So you're going to see some magic happen here. I'm going to use the blend mode multiply. It's going to apply right over the values that I have established. And you can already see that it's really kind of already setting the mood of the image. And what I'm going to do is work the color around into the landscape that I have already. Now, sometimes it's a little hard to see because this is the first marriage of the color to the values. If your values aren't quite right, you know, you might have to do a little bit more work on the colors, like I'm doing here. But I didn't spend a lot of time doing the black and white landscape. I just really wanted to get something established first, and then apply the color on top of it and work it around. And this is almost kind of like a little marriage between starting from a base color image, because we could have started with the coals themselves and then built the image on top of it, or done black and white and then applied the color like we did. This is kind of a blend in between the two. And doing it this way, it's a little bit harder to see because not the whole image is rendered yet. So anything white isn't actually showing through here. Or actually, no, it is. It's the other way around. Fully black, it won't show. All the other values still render through, and I'm trying to see, my landscape, what I have started here. So I really couldn't see it because of the black up in the corner, but if the texture or the image that you're applying on top has black in it, you really won't see it. It won't come through. So once I figured that out, what was going on here, why I couldn't see the landscape very well, just kind of worked the image around. And as you see, I'm actually, or of course it just changed, but I was working on um, the, the stock image itself, just pushing the color around there, basically moving it where I want for my landscape. Um, and I'll actually switch back and forth, and at some point I'll just merge everything and build on top of it. So I really don't have too much more to say about what's going on here right now. I'm just going to continue to let it play. When I see something that I'm doing that requires a comment or something, I'll just kind of chime in, but otherwise you really won't hear me. So one of the things that I was fighting with when I was doing this is the, the values for objects that are in the distance. I really didn't know how to approach this. I wasn't using a reference or anything, and I'm trying to imagine the type of atmosphere that might exist here. Um, and I was just really kind of unsure how to proceed with this. I'm thinking, well, maybe it's very smoky, so there would be like a lot of reflected light in the clouds, so it'd be not just just be very smoky. I was thinking this, so I was just picking up a lot of light from below. But when I'm kind of looking at this, it really just didn't work for me. And I'm thinking, okay, if it's light from below, then the orange is going to kind of pick through to the other objects that are in the background. But it just doesn't look right. And so I eventually decide that it should still be blue, probably more of a gray blue than just a blue itself. There's still atmosphere, but everything's cooling down, right? Um, and so that's what all the black is. It's cooled rock. Um, so you might get some light, but certainly nothing that bright. And I'm glad that I was able to work through that little problem there. But you'll see as the image progresses, I eventually move towards blue objects and just fading out into the distance. So. So what I'm doing right now is I'm getting ready to delete the crappy background that I have going here. Um, you know, basically have a hard brush and I'm just going through and kind of outlining the shapes that I already have established, and I might kind of tweak them here or there and make them a little bit more interesting. But the primary goal here is what I'm just I'm just going to select that whole background and get rid of it. And I'm going to look at DeviantArt again. I actually pause it and then go look for some other resource images, and I come back. You don't see the that long delay, but not really too long. I was actually really lucky with this. So I was trying to imagine, what type of sky should I have, and I'm picturing some sort of a storm. Um, when you try to think of something evil or menacing, storms, convey just that, right? So, I went to DeviantArt. They've got a great resource library there, and I searched for, I think it was like, storm, and it was one of the first images that came up. Just kind of really jumped at me, and it just really required almost no editing, really. I think I tweaked the color a little bit, but beyond that, it was really a nice image. So that's why I'm cleaning up the background. I'm getting ready to go find the stock image, and here I found it, and I realized that I had the actual thumbnail. I didn't have the large image itself, so I went and picked it up and then came back, with the full size. That way, it doesn't look so granular. Sometimes if I'm just pulling colors off of an image, I really don't care what the resolution is. But if I'm going to be using it inside of art, then I want a good quality image here. This particular image was pretty good. There's a lot of noise in the image itself, so I tried to despeckle and blur it a little bit. I really didn't want to mess around with the sky so much. If I were to try to render that sky myself, I could literally be at that all afternoon. I really love the dramatic lighting that it gives, and as soon as I put that image in, the rest of the image almost becomes realized. You can see um, where the lighting is and where the rest of the values need to go, and it really just adds a full effect to the composition itself. So I'm rendering this left edge now. I'm trying to imagine what might be there. I could have added some sort of other interesting component to this image, like, I don't know, some dude walking. But I'm not very good at the characters, and every time I do it, it just seems to kind of ruin the image. So right now, I'm just kind of sticking what I do best, and that's just landscapes. I think when I do characters, I'll just kind of keep the characters separate. I think at some point, maybe I'll get better with painting characters and landscapes, and I can actually blend the two of them together. But I think that might be kind of hard for me to do because you got to do it in perspective. And the way my workflow works is that I have no idea what I'm drawing initially. I'm just scribbling basically and just seeing things in it and just pulling out those values. So, or I trying to put a character in a landscape that's already established for me is really difficult. Um, I can do characters and I can do landscapes. Putting them both together, I fight with it. I fought all day yesterday with it, and I really wasn't happy with the way it came out. And, I want art to be fun for me. I don't want to have to struggle through it. So I think for now I'll just kind of do them separately. I'm still going to do more characters, but definitely, like I said, do what I'm best at, and that's landscapes. So, going back to the image here, it looks like the background images and kind of like, or the background objects are almost a blend between blue and um, orange or whatever. It almost makes kind of a purple object. I don't think I stick with that. I still think that it doesn't look still quite right to me. So I believe I go through, and I think I'm doing it right now, is where I'm just going to lighten up those objects like I discussed before, and just make them blue. Um, I don't know why I had such a hard time on this the objects in the background here to try to create the distance. Um, I really, I don't know. So I had actually created a new layer, and I'll kind of lighten the back objects, and if I paint over a foreground object, I'll just delete the foreground object, the whatever I'm painting over on the foreground, and it's kind of a quick way of doing things without having to go through and do all these masks and everything like that. I don't very seldom do I do masks. In fact, I think they're more trouble than what they're worth for me. I suppose there's some use for them, but I don't use them so much. Maybe I'm just a lazy painter. I just keep painting. I think this whole image actually took about a half hour for me to do. In fact, I think I'm finishing up here. So I hope you enjoyed this. I actually stopped this and render out for about another half hour or so. So we're nearing the end. There's only probably like a minute left here. You can visit my gallery at jjpeabody.deviantart.com, and you can see the full rendering of this image. I really didn't spend a long time on it, just a full hour. Most will consider that a speed paint. I didn't really res it up all that high. I think it's like 2,500 pixels or something like that. So I hope you learned something. I thought maybe there was some value in not speeding this up and just kind of showing you how I work, and nothing's perfect, and I just keep working things until it's done. So until next time, bye.